Now, what we want for this object is to be arranged in a circle, sort of going around our cup, so we don't have to model it out of the cup itself, because that's really difficult in this case. For this, we want to add a modifier, a so-called array modifier. That is precisely the modifier that does what we want. We want to do our thing on the y-axis. That means we just go for 5 here, for example, and then simply increase the count. And so far it looks horrible and not what it should look like, but it's no problem at all. So now we're going to push one of those edges up here, press Q, edge loops, Shift S, 2, and the cursor is back in the middle. Now we want to add a curve here, not a mesh, but a curve. And this curve should be a circle. And this circle should now deform our array modifier, so to speak. So for that, we open the menu, and under shape, we select the curve. And at the curve object tag on the right, we select Bezier circle. And after selecting that, you can see that we somewhat have what we want. The reason this isn't working right now is because our origin is not in the right place. And of course, our origin has to be in the center of our geometry so we can rotate it properly. And when we've rotated the thing 90 degrees, we can just take the whole thing and drag it to the right height using G, X. Funnily enough, it works inverted right now. And then we can take it out with G, Z, which is also weird because normally it goes up like that. That all has to do with the modifier, of course. But now we actually got these things on the outside and it looks pretty good, I would say. The only question now is, does it circle the cup properly? And the answer to that in this case is unfortunately no. That means we have to fiddle around with our Y factor here until the whole thing looks somehow acceptable. I think 4.93 would no longer be noticeable. Of course, we can still measure it briefly here between 23 centimeters. We have between 25 centimeters just like here. That means we need a little bit more. That means we're going to give it 4.27 here. And then we stretch it a bit further. And now the whole thing should definitely look good. And by doing this, we fixed our objects. And I know the array modifier might seem a bit complicated, but now you've at least learned how it works. Our model is not as stable as the McDonald's cup is, but that's alright. Now we can actually put some smooth shading and auto smoothing on it. Don't forget to enable this because otherwise it's gonna look really weird and really stupid. However, we now have two separate objects and we also have all the modifiers on here. But the question now is, how do we convert this into geometry? Because it still goes into edit mode and it still looks like this, so totally weird. There's a very simple remedy for this. We go to our modifier setup on the right and we press Command A, and then for the modifier we press Command A, which stands for apply. You can also press apply from the menu on the top right. And now you see that we have the geometry that we needed in the edit mode. And you can also see that the geometry is officially created here. Doing all of this manually would take an unbelievably long time, which is why I've already let you in on the power of modifiers in this video. I'm gonna go in depth on this in advanced modeling later, but I think it's a really good thing that you've already gotten to know the array modifier.